Okay, I'm getting ready to eat my pita pizza that I just made and watch Twilight for the very first time in like over 10 years. And I just want to say my hot takes before I start this journey again because I haven't watched the movies in like a long time. And I also have listened to I listen to books. I don't really read them. I listen to them because I have dyslexia, but I haven't listened to the Twilight books in like 17 years, 18 years, something like that. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute, right? But this is coming from somebody who used to be a twihard. If you know, you know. And yeah, here's just a couple of hot takes before we start this journey. Number one, Vampire Sucks, the parody of Twilight, hilarious content, okay? Number two, me and my mom both think that Stephanie Myers is a witch. We know she's Mormon, but we think she's a witch because how in the world does she make these books and movies actually make that much money and actually be that popular? Number three, Team Jacob forever. I may have my flaws when it comes to Jacob and think things about Jacob, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be Team Jacob because I'm Black and Indigenous, and who else am I going to pick? Not the colonizer. And fourth, the colonizers suck. And yes, I'm talking about the Cullens, okay? They freaking have a Confederate soldier in their midst, okay? There are literal colonizers, let's be honest. And number five, the Twilight soundtracks. Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and both Breaking Dawn soundtracks. 10 out of 10, no notes. 10 out of 10, no notes. And if I had to rank them, it would be Twilight, Eclipse, New Moon, Breaking Dawn Part 1, Breaking Dawn Part 2. Yes, okay? But this is coming from somebody who used to be a twihard, who now has many critiques of these movies and series, books, whatever. I have a lot of critiques of them. I look at the books and the movies very differently, and I used to be a huge fan, not so much anymore, but this is my first time watching this series in over 10 years. So we'll see how I feel after I watch all 5 movies. And eventually I need to re-listen to the books, but for now we're just going to watch the movies. And this is my dinner, my little pita pizzas with my little apple juice. 10 out of 10. Happy Hoa 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 season, everybody. Okay, I'm only like 8 minutes into my rewatch, but I just had to bring this up. I have like, of course, seen like clips. I've of course like listened to the music from the soundtrack. I've of course like interacted with the Twilight world in the last like 10 to 15 years. So it's not like I haven't been like paying attention or like, you know, whatever. But like Bella's wardrobe in especially Twilight was atrocious, and I don't know how she got away with it, honestly. And I know that Bella can't dress, and this coming from somebody who in high school would wear pajamas to school on a regular basis. Like, I was not trying to come to school, so I did not care about what I wore. So I looked like, you know, disheveled almost every day. But it was school, like I didn't really care. But like, what are we wearing, Bella? What are we wearing? Like, what are we wearing, girl? Like, what is this? Like, really, what is this? And like, I know she's supposed to be like, I'm not like other girls kind of girl. And like, okay. But like, step it up, honey. Step it up. Like, I feel like Jessica and Angela were trying to help you out with your little wardrobe, and you did not take the bait. And you should have, because you needed a whole new wardrobe. 10 out of 10 exponentially, okay? Even freaking Alice, she could help you better. You were just a very stubborn person, and that just ruined it, made it really awkward. But yeah, fix your wardrobe, girl. Dang. Okay, so I just got to the part where Bella and her friends first go to La Push, and it's the part where Jacob, Embry, and Sam, I guess, who that other man was supposed to be, come up to Bella and her friends to like say hi. Okay, and then they tell Bella that the Cullens don't come here. Okay, so apparently my man right here, Chris Heights, he was supposed to be Jacob, but he refused to cut his hair because if you know anything about Indigenous people, most Indigenous cultures, specifically in Turtle Island, a lot of different tribes, they will not cut their hair because cutting your hair is very sacred. And so he was like, nah, I will not cut my hair because you know how Jacob has to cut his hair, which is kind of BS, but that's a whole nother conversation. And he was like, no, I will not do it. So then he could not be Jacob. And it sucks because he's actually native. Like, he's actually native. And, like, no disrespect to Taylor Lautner. Okay? Cool dude. Love him down. I'm just saying, like, he's actually native. Native. You know? And Taylor Lautner says that he has some native in him, I guess. But, like, let's all be honest. Like, he's not, like, native. But, like, this man, he was native, and he could not play Jacob because Stephanie Myers was trying to have him cut his hair. I have always had an issue with that, and it always has bothered me since day one. Because, like, are you serious? Are you really serious? Like, having Jacob cut his hair, or having any of the Wolfpack cut their hair was really, like, not the move. Not the move, Stephanie Myers. Not the move. And I have so many other things to say about the way that you commodified the Quileute culture and Native American culture in general. But we will get to that. We're only in movie 1. Charlie hating Edward as much as I do. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I think he does grow to like him a little bit just because he knows that Bella's going to be with him anyways. But him not liking Edward, valid. And it's so wonderful, okay? Shout out to Charlie because me too, sir. Me too. Yeah, we are not Team Edward in this house. And neither is Charlie. And we love that for him. So I got to the part where Laurent, Victoria, and James meet the Cullens. And then Edward has to run with Bella because James acts all crazy. But I always think about Laurent, and I know he dies in New Moon, but I'm always thinking about him because I'm like, you know, because he's one of the only black vampires. Oh, of course, because there's lack of diversity in these freaking movies and the books and the series and the story. I always think of Laurent all the time. And now with Sinners being out, 10 out of 10 movie, I'm like, what if Laurent was in Sinners? That would have been interesting. That actually would have been interesting. Like, I'd have to look up Laurent again and see, like, his backstory and stuff. Because, again, I haven't read the books or listened to the books in a long time. So I'm sure once I do again, I'll remember. But, yeah, what if Laurent was in Sinners? That would be so cool. But 10 out of 10 for Laurent. Because he was actually just trying to be cool. He was trying to be cool. He was trying to, like, be peaceful with the Cullens. And then James had to go and mess everything up. Per usual. The white man had to go and mess everything up. Laurent trying to be a good person, just be there, hang out. And then James had to ruin everything. Just ruin everything. I think about this a lot, but like the way the Cullens, specifically Edward obviously, but the Cullens in general, always are making Bella have to choose between them and Charlie because she could never tell Charlie nothing. So it's like, okay, but like whatever. If you had been with Jacob, you would never have to even lie to Charlie, mostly. Okay? The Cullens could have left, never come back. Jacob, okay, he might have still become a wolf, but still, he wouldn't have to be a wolf for a long time, and then you could still be around Charlie and not have to lie to him. But for some reason, you just keep picking the freaking Cullens over your father, girl. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Rosalie's original hatred for Bella is 10 out of 10 valid because if I had to pick a Cullen to actually like, it would be Rosalie. Team Rosalie, honestly. After watching Twilight 3 times in movie theaters with my mom and my sister in 2008, all it took was listening to Robert Pattinson sing in that ballet studio that turned me into a Team Edward for about a year. It was wild. Bella definitely had Edward psychosis. Another thing about Twilight that will forever annoy me as somebody who used to be a hardcore fan, listen, when they recast Victoria, I was like, y'all really thought we weren't going to notice? And, like, I get that, I think it was that the original Victoria, Rachel, she had like some kind of filming confliction or something, so they had to recast her. And I was just like, and I was annoyed because you have her in the first two movies, the original actress, and then in the third movie, in Eclipse, when there's an actual storyline for her where she actually gets to like fight and like do all the things, she recasted. What a shame. What a shame. What a mighty sad shame. But the end credits ending with a Radiohead song was pretty awesome. I loved it. I love that song, even though I'm not a Radiohead fan anymore because they're Zionist. But back in the day, I thought it was awesome because I love that song and I think it's awesome. 15 Steps, it's great. 10 out of 10. And then they go into, of course, Linkin Park and then into Paramore. Love it. Love it. 10 out of 10 for the Twilight soundtrack, honestly. Such a good soundtrack, okay? Every single song on that soundtrack is a 10 out of 10. And I absolutely adore the Twilight soundtrack. So it's time to continue my Twilight Saga rewatch. So now I have my snacks. I have my goldfish. Love me some goldfish like I'm a 5-year-old child. I also got some candy corn because, yeah, it's candy corn season. And I also got some Reese's Big Cup pieces to go with my candy corn for the candy corn with a little sweet mixed in. 10 out of 10 snacks. And we're about to watch New Moon. Also, before I start, New Moon is my favorite Twilight film. So again, I'm not a big fan of the Twilight films or books or series or story anymore. But if I had to pick a Twilight film or book to be my favorite, it would definitely be New Moon. And we can all guess why. Because, hello, I can't be Team Jacob and not like New Moon. Like, it's my favorite because of that. That's why I like, of course, New Moon and Eclipse the best. The best two in the story and the best two films. So, yeah. But I also critique these because I have a lot of feelings, being Black and Indigenous, around the portrayal of Indigenous people in these stories, books, films. Okay? Not turning Bella and then having her obsessed with her age is kind of cruel, actually. Like, Edward, so freaking annoying. Also, every single time that Mike Newton is like, the Cullens, Edward, like, I don't really like him. I'm like, 10 out of 10, King. 10 out of 10, because same. And when Mike said in the first movie, when he was like, you know, it just looks like Edward just looks at you like he wants to eat you. And, like, Bella just scoffs. And I know it's because of, like, the vampire thing and, like, him not knowing that and, like, the whole reality of that. But also, Mike was real about that, and not in a reality, like, literal way, but in, like, a, yeah, that is basically how Edward treats you. Like, 100%. But you just let it happen because you're okay with it. Because you're okay with the way that Edward treats you. Because you're okay with it because you're obsessed. Because you are a Cullenholic, okay? And you have issues, clearly. Because in any other reality, I would never put up with the stuff that Edward makes me put up with. Or makes Bella put up with, right? I could never. And obviously we know it gets 10 times worse in Eclipse. But baby, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The other best part about New Moon is, of course, the introduction of the Volturi. And I actually really like the Volturi, okay? I think they're really great, really funny, and, like, really, like, you know, something. And it's like, it sucks that we don't really get to have them do much of anything. Just be intimidating and, like, be around. And then, of course, the only thing they really do is that fake ass fight that they have at the end of Breaking Dawn, which is not even in the books, and it's like, whatever. But yeah, they should have done more with the Volturi. The Volturi were great, and I wish they had a whole book based on the Volturi, because the Volturi are actually great. Even if it had nothing to do with the Cullens, I would have totally been into that, because the Volturi are actually great. I love them. Also, Bella's wardrobe, very much better in New Moon. Very much better in New Moon. I don't know why. It's just better in New Moon. Going forward between New Moon, Eclipse, and the Breaking Dawn movies, her wardrobe just gets better. I don't know, but it's just better. Besides the Cullens being colonizers, Bella definitely has some kind of mental psychosis because the Cullens leave and she is just out here doing whatever, wherever, however, with whoever. And I'm over here like, girl, get it together. Okay, get it together. But I did see this TikTok where somebody was like, I think that they were bringing up Breaking Dawn, which we'll get there. But they were basically like, I think that Bella regretted being with Edward because, she should have been with Jacob. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And then somebody in the comments was like, well, because when in New Moon, when the Cullens leave, how Bella, like, gets into that super deep depression. And it's like if she had had a drug withdrawal. That's how it basically felt for her when the Cullens left. And I was like, that kind of makes sense, yeah. And so they were like, that's the hold that the Cullens have on her. Like, we don't actually know if Bella... Like, I think Bella actually loves Edward. Whatever. But, like, the way they kind of have this control over her is kind of ridiculous and, like, crazy. But, yeah. Also, shout out to Bella, where you've been, loca? Ass, wig that they make Jacob wear. -500 on that one. I can't even lie. At one point in my life, and I was 17, I was 18, I was 19, I was 20, I was whatever. I was absolutely feral. I'm talking feral for Jacob Black, aka Taylor Lautner. I really was. There's no, like, I'm Team Jacob, and that is what it is. And one of the reasons I was Team Jacob, besides the fact that I was like, I'm Black and Indigenous, I gotta be Team Jacob, okay? We gotta defend the native kids because the colonizers are not gonna come up here and ruin their lives. Let's just be honest, okay? Having Taylor Lautner look the way Taylor Lautner did in New Moon and Eclipse, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. The way I talked about Taylor Lautner back in the day was, yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm not joking about this. I used to make jokes, like good jokes, but I used to make jokes. I was like, because I remember one time, it's really funny. And I don't know why I did this. But I was like, again, I was a teenager. I was like in my early 20s. Like, it was a thing. And for some reason, I put on my Facebook, because I was like talking to my best friend about Twilight or something. And I remember I put somewhere, I was like, yeah. And I just want to like lick his abs. Yeah, again, I was like a teenager. I was like in my early 20s. Sue me. Honestly, sue me. But like, I was like, I'm gonna marry Taylor Lautner, and we're gonna have cute little brown babies. It's gonna be real cute. It's gonna be real, real cute. I had issues, man. I had issues. Okay, like, I can't be the only one who might have thought this, but like, Bella and Mike Newton would have been cute. I can't lie about that, right? And then we could have had just Jacob be with a really sweet, cute res girl. Like, am I the only one who just wanted Jacob to be with a really cute, like, native girl? I can't be the only one. Like, Jacob, why you gotta even deal with the colonizer, okay? Bella is still the colonizer, okay? Stay and just be with a cute little res girl. Everything would have been great. Everything would have been great, homie. And she could have been with Mike Newton. And then Edward could have left, never came back. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, I'm saying. You see, this is why I have issues with Bella and why she pisses me off. Because Bella had no right to come to Jacob and be like, you're killing people, Jacob. You and the wolves are killing people. You're wrong. Like, the Cullens haven't killed people. Like, vampires don't kill people. Like, and when Jacob called her a hypocrite, I was like, 10 out of 10. Because what the hell even is that, Bella? Like, the whole time, you're always just so... But the vampires, you just can't do anything about my poor Cullens, my vampires. And Jacob's like, Your stupid Cullen vampires are the reason I have to be a werewolf. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, please. I don't get to choose this life, okay? The Cullens got to choose their life. Not necessarily, but you know what I mean. Jacob and them, they don't get to choose it. It's hereditary. So it's like, your Cullens moving to town, hereditary happens, it's messed up, and I don't like it. And Bella, you're just really hypocritical. Really hypocritical. R.I.P. to Harry Clearwater. You were a real one. Bella's just like, oh, Edward, I thought you didn't love me. Of course I love you, Bella. Oh, I guess everything is forgiven. If a man left me for like half a year, whatever, how long it was, and he just was like, I just left you because I felt like I had to, and didn't even apologize, I would be pissed. I would be pissed. I absolutely love Dakota Fanning as Jane. She is so good as Jane. The way that Jacob tried to save Bella from herself every single time, and Bella just like basically spit in his face, was just like, I really hate Bella. And like, I say I hate the Cullens a lot, and specifically Edward, but like, I also hate Bella because she also does things that are just mean. She's just mean, straight up mean, right? And I don't like the way she treats Jacob, and I never have, and I never will. And there are people who are still like, well, but I just wish that Bella had been with Jacob. And I don't. I don't. I don't like Edward, okay? And I don't like the way Edward treats Bella. So I don't really think that Edward and Bella are a good couple. But at the end of the day, I would not want Bella to be with Jacob. Because Bella strung Jacob along far too long, knowing she was never going to be with him. And Jacob knew deep down that she was never going to be with him, but it was mean. It was mean. And I just wish Stephanie Meyer had gave Jacob a nice little res girl to be with and called it a day, okay? Because I personally will never, ever, ever understand what this hold is that Bella Swan has on mythical creatures. Like, be serious, little white girl. Please be serious, okay? I don't see it, but maybe somebody else does. I don't see it. I kind of understand why the Cullens and Edward, like, kinda. But Jacob, come on, son. Come on. I know there's some really nice girl on the res you could be with, like, or literally anybody else. Anybody else. I don't know. That's just me, but like, I just hate the way Bella treats Jacob. It's so not cool. And then what I hate the most is that she lets the Cullens act trash to him. Like, literally trash him. And the whole reason that the Quileutes have to turn into wolves in the first place is because of the Cullens. And Bella doesn't care. Bella doesn't care. And I also think it's because she's white. Like, I feel like she's white, so she doesn't understand anything. And so, of course, when there are people who are culturally relevant, who have, like, a history and, like, culture and, like, you know, everything, Bella's not going to care because Bella's white. Like, the whole part of New Moon where Bella continued to show Jacob that she just didn't care when it came to him and the wolves trying to get at Victoria. And like, Bella kept reiterating how, but remember now, vampires are so much stronger than wolves. Remember now, vampires will do this and vampires will do that. Trying to just downplay Jacob and the wolves. And it just made me mad. Like, it made me mad continually. And then it reminds me why I don't really watch these movies or, you know, really interact with this story that much anymore. Because I just started to realize that, Bella, you're trash. You're absolutely trash. The Cullens are trash. I mean, we expect that from them, the colonizer Cullens, right? Confederate soldier Cullens. But, like, you're buying into it, Bella, and I don't like it. And in a lot of ways, it reminds me how you are okay with, like, playing with this young native boy's heart, right? And it's okay because he's this young native boy. He can take care of himself. He's like, whatever. But you can't go against your lily white colonizer vampires. Like, make that make sense, Bella. Make that make sense. Like, I just don't like it, and I've never really have. And I think I was just blinded by the story when I was younger because I was younger. But as I've grown, I've realized, yeah, you suck, Bella. You absolutely suck. The Cullens suck. Team Jacob all day. Yeah, he has some flaws, let's be honest. But who doesn't? He was 16. But he was still in the minority. He was still the one being hurt the most. And it wasn't fair. And Bella let the Cullens slide with a lot of that stuff, especially calling him, wet dog, mongrel, and all that stuff. It was annoying. It was annoying. Like, it was really annoying, and I didn't like it. And I didn't like it. And I didn't like that Stephenie Meyer put that into the story, because that was very, very not cool. It was just not cool when it came to the way she portrayed Native people. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And another thing, and this is for people who read the book specifically or listened to the book specifically, because they didn't actually add this part into the movie, so yeah. But in Breaking Dawn, there's that part where it's like right after Bella's like, she's keeping the baby, and Edward's on board to keep the baby, and everybody's so happy about the baby, and all of these things, and like they're all acting like this is one big happy family, and Jacob feels really hurt and really ostracized by Bella right now, okay? And so I forgot why he goes to the mall. I think it was something about one of the Cullens cars or something, but he ends up going to the mall, and he like meets this girl, right? And he like tries to imprint on this girl, and it doesn't work. And Jacob just starts to feel so terrible, right? And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I'm just like, Stephenie Meyers, you suck, honestly, because the way that you just left my man high and dry, and then had the gall, the nerve, and the audacity to have him imprint on a baby, on a little infant, just as a cop-out, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. You could have done something way better. You could have just gave him a nice res girl to be with in the end of the day. You didn't have to put the whole imprinting thing and him imprinting on an infant. Like, why? Why? And it's just like, I just felt bad for Jacob so many times in this story. And I don't like it. I don't like it. And I don't like how Jacob is 16 being tossed around by all of these white people and these vampires. I don't like it. These colonizers. I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, time to finish my Twilight rewatch of the Twilight Saga that I am watching for the first time in over 10 years as a former Twihard. So, we're going to watch Eclipse, we're going to watch Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2, and we're going to give our thoughts because I have so many. And at the end of all of this, I will be making a YouTube video, and I will also be making a companion blog. I have a blog, iceturtlegirl.blog. My YouTube channel is Ice Turtle Girl if you want to check any of those out. I will be making a video about all of this Twilight stuff and how it relates to really life in 2025. And also I will be making a blog post that will go into far more detail about a lot of things, where I'm able to put like a lot of more information into it. So I will be scratching the surface with my YouTube video and then doing a blog post about everything else. So yeah, if you want to follow along in that way as well, I will be putting this out, but this is just my initial thoughts while watching the films. And yes, like a true millennial that I am pirating the films because they're on Disney Plus or Hulu, one of the two. And we don't have Disney Plus nor Hulu, both because we are boycotting them and also because we are a poor millennial who cannot afford them. So yes, come along with me. Oh, and before I show you my meal, I am Black and Indigenous, so this is the lens that I'll be looking at these movies through, so just FYI. But I am having some soup, a little bit of rice, and some like garlic bread, sourdough bread that I created, and then some La Marca Prosecco Rosé sparkling wine. I have some of it in my cup already, but that is what I'll be eating while I watch, starting with Eclipse. Yeah, Eclipse is the best Twilight movie, and anybody who says differently, you're lying, because Eclipse has one of the best openings of any of the Twilight films, okay? Eclipse really does. And Eclipse has actual action in it. It's actually the one that people want to see, like, as, like, the full, like, series. Like, more action. For those who want to see more action, like, Eclipse is that movie for you. Eclipse is that movie for you. Because it's actually real action and not fake action like they tried to put in Breaking Dawn Part 2. I'm just saying. So you know how Edward is really controlling over Bella, like, the entire series? But it really starts to show in Eclipse because of the Bella Jacob, Bella Edward whole BS. Okay, so Bella literally really just lets Edward talk about Jacob any kind of way. Like, sometimes she'll defend Jacob and be like, don't be talking about my friend like that. But on the other hand, she will literally just let Edward, the Cullens, just say, like, the most horrible things about the wolves, about the Quileutes. And I have an issue with it, okay? That is the whole reason why I was only Team Edward for, like, a year. The minute that I read or listened to the Twilight books, and then I actually decided that I can never be Team Edward or the Cullens ever again because they're horrible people. And to that, I can't like Bella either. She is not a good friend to Jacob. She is not really there for Jacob, even though he was there for her, even though she knows how he feels about her. Even though everything, she doesn't care, okay? She doesn't care, and every little thing that Jacob does that's a tad bit inappropriate as a 16-year-old, a tad bit inappropriate, it's Jacob's fault. And Edward is this amazing, wonderful person who can't do no wrong. But Jacob does one little terrible thing, and it's like the end of the world. Even though he's 16, trying to process the fact that he just had to be turned into a wolf because of these colonizer Cullens, these vampires coming onto his land, messing everything up. You think that's easy for a 16-year-old boy to go through? No. Especially a native boy? Absolutely not. And Bella doesn't care. Bella does not care. And it just bothers me, which is why I don't like her. And then Edward, at the same time, shut up, Edward. Like, I'm watching the part where she's trying to go to the push to go see Jacob because she's starting to feel bad about not hanging out with him anymore. So then she's like, let me go to the push. No, because Edward takes, her engine out of her truck and is like, nah, you ain't going because they're dangerous. Okay, but no more dangerous than you and your freaking family, so I don't understand. You almost got Bella killed. Bella got herself almost killed when she was with Jacob, but Jacob actually saved her more times than not. And you just got her into trouble most of the time that she's been with you. So I really don't understand who's more dangerous here, you or him. You vampires, you white colonizer vampires, or the Quileutes. Make that make sense. Okay, since I finally got to Eclipse, I have to ask this question. Who wore it better? Okay, whose wig was better? Now, I want to say Bella's wig was better because I remember Kristen Stewart was filming The Runaways, and that was a really good movie, by the way. But she was filming The Runaways, so she had cut her hair to be like Joan Jett, and so she had to wear a wig for this movie. But I think her wig actually looked better in certain light, and a certain way that she moved her hair around. It looked better than the way they put a wig on Taylor Lautner. And his wig was like, yeah, it was rough. It was pretty rough. But like, yeah, I think that Kristen's wig in Eclipse was much better than Taylor Lautner's in Twilight or New Moon, the beginning of New Moon. So, what do you think? When Renee says that Bella and Edward are like magnets, that makes 100% sense. And in my brain, watching this now, I'm like, yeah, it's like he has a spell on her. And that I'm not trying to say that Bella and Edward are not in love. I'm not trying to say that they don't love each other or they're not like happy together or whatever. I'm not trying to say all of that. But I am trying to say it's a little weird. And I do feel like in some ways the Cullens have some kind of spell on Bella. And like this whole thing is just like one big, like, she meets Edward in that science classroom, something happens, and he puts that vampire spell on her, and ever since, she's just in this trance where she, like, thinks this is the best thing for her, right? And I'm just like, it's a little weird. It's a little weird because, yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know. You know, they really tried to make us hate Leah, and I could never, because that's a Native woman, okay? And a Native woman has every right to be mad at a white woman, and to be mad at colonizers who killed her father, bro. It's because of them that he's dead. He had a heart attack, sure, but it was mostly because of the colonizers. It was mostly because of the vampires. So being mad at Bella and being mad at the Cullens, 10 out of 10 reasonable. 10 out of 10 reasonable. And anybody who says otherwise, you're crazy. You're crazy. Because she has every right to be mad. Every right to be mad. And for Stephenie Meyers to make it seem like she's the delusional one, she's just upset for no reason, she's just mad because Sam picked Emily over her, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I don't like it. I don't like it. And now we're at the definition of imprinting. But I have so much more to say about that you'll hear in my YouTube video, because no. When Jacob says, "I'd rather you be really dead than be one of them," to Bella, after she tells him about how she's going to be turned after graduation, and she says, "I shouldn't have come. Can't believe you said that." Shut up! You are stringing this 16-year-old boy along. Like, what are you actually doing, Bella? Shut your mouth. You cannot blame Jacob for being pissed. Do you understand the circumstances he's under? No, because you don't care. You don't care. You do not care. Charlie continued to be Team Jacob. Charlie continuing to be Team Jacob. Edward could at least respect meal times. Oh, I was just with Jake. Oh, okay. I love it. I love it. Edward comes to the door. I almost broke the treaty. Oh my gosh. I knew you wouldn't be safe there. And then Edward, like, figures out that something's wrong in the house. So he comes in. And then Bella has to take off her jacket. She's like, because she thinks it's that she smells like a dog. She's like, oh, sorry, I smell like a dog. And takes off her jacket. Oh my God. Team Switzerland has to die. I hate that saying with my entire being. Even though growing up watching these films back in the day, I was very much here for the fact that the Wolfpack never had shirts on, specifically Jacob. But I do have issues now with the over-sexualization of the Wolfpack, and the way that Edward just said that, crazy. The way Edward looked at Jacob and said, doesn't he own a shirt? So when I first watched these movies as like a teenager, early 20-something, of course I was in love with Jacob. Like, I was in love with Taylor Lautner at this time, and like him never wearing a shirt was like amazing. Growing up means that you can see past that. And for me, I have a real issue with the fact that Stephenie Meyer thought it was okay for the Wolfpack, for Jacob, for the Quileutes, who are the Wolfpack, to never have to wear shirts. I don't like it. I don't like it. I have a lot more to say about it. I'll put it in my YouTube video, but I don't like it. It's very over-sexualizing of Native people, and I don't like it. And I don't like the way that Edward and the Cullens look at it, because they look at it very much in a demeaning way, and I don't like it. As the colonizers that they are, I don't like it. Plus, I know I'm not the only one who thinks that the Bella and Edward relationship is actually inappropriate from a age gap relationship kind of standpoint. And I don't want to hear no, but he's actually 17, whatever, you know? My point is, he's been 17 for like a billion years, okay? 11 years. So yeah, he's an old man. He's actually an old man. Like, in reality, he wouldn't be alive, obviously. But in reality, he would be a freaking old-ass man. I just think it's weird. I think it's weird. And I also think that it's weird that he keeps pushing marriage on Bella. Like, I think it's weird. And I think it's really patriarchal. And I also think it's just very much giving, come, be a part of my white colonizer cult. Please, please, come be a part of it. And it's weird. Oh my gosh, Boo Boo Stewart is so cute here. He is so adorable. But I already knew who he was because I'm a big fan of Jumpin', the Disney Channel original movie. And he was in this little like hip hop group or whatever. It was like this little like hip hop singing group or whatever, and they had a song on the Jump In soundtrack, and it was really cute. And so I remember him on that. And so when I watched this for the first time, I was like, he looks real familiar, but I didn't know who he was. And then when I really looked back at the Jump In soundtrack, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I've been to who he was. And then of course I watched Descendants. So yeah, but he is so cute. He is so cute in this movie. Plus, no offense, and I always make jokes about this all the time, but Boo Boo Stewart always be playing somebody else's race. Always be playing somebody else's culture. He's played about 11 different native people, okay? He's played Asian. He's played, like, Middle Eastern. He's played, like, I think he's played white at some point. Like, he has played everybody's culture. And it's so, just, like, funny to me. It's, like, so funny. Now, we all know by now, hopefully, that the interpretation of the Quileute story with the wolves and the story of the cold ones and the story of the woman who sacrifices herself so that she can save the tribe, all of that is BS. And the Quileute tribe has come out and said it's BS. And Stephanie Myers owes the Quileute tribe a huge apology for misrepresenting their whole entire tribe and creation story, okay? But, through the context of this movie, Bella's sitting there at the tribal council meeting, learning these stories, learning this history, and she still sides with the Cullens. She still sides with the vampires. She still sides with the colonizers. And it just reminds me that Bella's a white woman, and she's always going to do what white women do. And that means that they're always going to uphold colonization. And it sickens me, honestly. It sickens me. How can you be friends with Jacob, learn his history, learn his stories, know about the pain that the Cullens and the vampires in general cause them, and still side with the Cullens? I will absolutely, positively never understand that, but then I'm not white. So maybe it's just how I move as a Black Indigenous woman. I will never understand the motive of Bella Swan. Ever. Justice for Bree Tanner. I don't care what nobody says. Justice for my girl Bree Tanner. She did not deserve her fate. Justice for Bree Tanner, honestly. But it's like, why does Bella not stare Jacob in the eyes? Like, she looks up and down. Like, she'll look in his eyes, then she'll look down. She'll look in his eyes, and she'll look down. She won't, like, stare at him. But she can stare at the Cullens, and she can stare at Edward for hours on end. Okay? Now, I honestly know that in the movies, okay, it's the bad acting, and I get it. And this is no disrespect to Kristen Stewart. She's been through enough with your takes on her bad acting. We get it, okay? But it was also the story, and it was also the directing. So be honest with yourself, because Kristen Stewart's actually a good actress. I actually watched a Kristen Stewart movie recently. It was the one where she was a lesbian. It was like in the 80s or something. Or the 90s, I don't know. And she's like the lesbian who is working, or she's in love with that woman who is a bodybuilder, but then her dad is like evil, and then like her girlfriend is like killing people. And like, if you know what I'm talking about, I'll put the name of the title of this movie on screen. But I actually liked her in that movie. I thought she was good. And I actually like Kristen Stewart's acting. I have since Speak. So it's just the writing and the storyline and the story of Twilight that's bad. And it always has been. But my point is that why can't she look Jacob in the eye? She always be looking Edward in the eye, but she can't look Jacob in the eye, okay? It's weird to me. It's weird to me. And it's because you feel guilty. You feel guilty. You absolutely feel guilty. And I get at a point, Jacob, you need to just leave and count your losses and understand that this girl doesn't really want you. Even though I think she sort of does in the grand scheme of everything. I feel like Jacob should leave and just not put as much pressure on himself to be with this woman, to be with this girl. Because if she's going to choose a colonizer over you, she is not worth it. She is not worth it, okay? She's just not worth it. And I know it's heartbreaking to realize, but she's not worth it. And lusting over the colonizer little girl, the little lily white girl, Bella Swan, it ain't happening for you, my king. And I need you to realize that, okay? There's a nice little res girl over on the res who probably thinks you're cute and would be with you, okay? Okay, baby? Like, you don't have to sacrifice yourself for this lily white girl who doesn't want you. I'm so sorry, babes. You don't have to do it. You just don't have to do it. When I said there were certain things that were not okay when it came to Jacob, kissing Bella was one of them. I will give you that. He should not have done that. That was against her consent. That's not okay. I understand that. But people holding that against Jacob as their one thing that they're like, I can't be Team Jacob because Jacob kissed Bella and Jacob did that against her consent and that's not okay. And that's your one reason to not be Team Jacob over all the other things that I've talked about. You're trash and you're in the wrong. And being Team Edward and being Team Colonizer is wrong. And I don't really want to hear anything else about it, okay? Yes, Jacob was wrong for kissing her. But everything the Cullens did was 10 times more wrong. 10 times more wrong. Not Rosalie telling Bella her entire story of how she became a vampire. And Bella looking at Rosalie and being like, well, there's nothing I'm ever going to want more than Edward. Rosalie just told you that all she wants is a family. Like, she wants kids, she wants a family, she wants to be human again. You don't care. You don't care. Everybody's warnings to you. You don't freaking care. You are so insufferable, Bella Swan. Insufferable. Colonizer Cullens and their Confederate General Soldier, Jasper Whitlock, at your service. I hate it so much. Jacob gives Bella a little wolf on her little charm bracelet. Edward has to one up and give her a little, like, crystal. Sir, I'm gonna need you to really relax, because you're a little too paranoid about all of this, okay? Relax. Let the boy give her a little woof. It's not that serious. We have to have the annoying conversation about her ring. I hate her ring. Her ring is ugly. Anybody who says her ring looks nice, you're weird. So Edward and Jacob are talking in the tent, and Jacob asked Edward, like, if Jacob was not trying to get with Bella, would Edward and them be friends? And Edward was like, yeah, I might have been friends with you if you weren't trying to get with Bella. And then Jacob basically said, yeah, I wouldn't though. Like, he had to think about it too. He was like, you know, even if I wasn't trying to get with your girl, me and you would still not be friends. Nope. And I was like, exactly, because it's not even really about Bella. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's also about the tribe, and it's about the fact that you are colonizers. How am I not going to be friends with a colonizer? No, I'm not. Edward, you are a fuckboy. I'm so sorry. This is so disgusting. Not you talking about you and Bella getting married, knowing daggone well that Jacob is listening. And you have the gall, the nerve, the audacity to say it out loud, knowing he's listening, and then getting him riled up and mad right before he's about to go into battle. Helping y'all stank asses out. Make it make sense. And you did it on purpose, because you're mean and vindictive, and you're not nice. And then Bella getting mad at you, right? Rightfully so, because that was mean. That was not cool. That was evil. Getting mad at you, going over with Jacob, lying to Jacob and telling him it's okay to kiss you, so he would be okay in battle. And then at the end of it all, just being like, it was all a lie, Jacob. I'm still going to pick the man who is evil and a colonizer and hurt you. Tremendously hurt you. I'm still going to pick him. Like, in what world? Is it a white thing? Because I will never understand. That could not be me. That just could not be me. And I would never pick a person who would hurt my friend that way. The friend that you supposedly love, even though you won't say you don't, even though you keep telling Jacob that you're in love with, colonizer boy, you won't say that you're not in love with Jacob, though. And that's rude, and you're stringing him along, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It was mean, it was messy, and it was not cool. So you can kiss Jacob. You can have Jacob kiss you, thinking that everything's smooth. Have him fight in a whole ass battle for you, where he could have died, literally died. But it's okay, because I'm always going to be with the colonizer. The way you string this boy along is so evil. Oh my gosh, it's so evil. And some of y'all still pick Team Edward. I will never in my life understand why y'all side with that man. He is evil, and Bella is no better. I will say, though, that you do have to give props to Esme and Carlisle, even though there are times where I think about what Carlisle did, turning everybody into vampires. He has a very fatherly and very, like, Esme has a very maternal side to them. And I know because Esme had her own child, she's very maternal in that way anyways. But they're very, like, motherly and fatherly, like, in a real way, even though those are not really their kids. Like, they're very maternal and fatherly about it all. And I really think that's cute and good, because the way that they were trying to protect Bree Tanner was really sweet. They probably would have even allowed her to be a part of their coven, and that would have been really sweet. Like, the way they were really trying to protect her, and then, Jane had to come and kill her, but, I mean, they were really trying to protect her, and that's cute, because they saw her in the woods, and they saw that she was a part of all of this, but they also saw that she didn't know what was going on, and she was confused, and she was just a lost little girl who was unfortunately turned against her will. And so they understood that, and they were, like, willing to let it slide with her. And I really like that. I think that is one of the very, very, very few redeeming qualities about Esme and Carlisle and the Cullens in general, is that those two are very motherly and fatherly, and it's nice. I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard was okay as Victoria. I will give her that. She was okay. But she just doesn't have the same kind of menacing look as the first Victoria. And that makes me sad, because I'm just like, Eclipse was her movie. Like, Eclipse was Victoria's movie where she gets to have her big battle scene and everything. And it just sucks that the original Victoria couldn't be a part of that. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Bryce Dallas Howard. I think she's cool. She's not the original Victoria. Like, the original Victoria just felt more menacing. I don't know. In conclusion, and I haven't started watching Breaking Dawn Part 1 or 2 yet, but in my opinion, Eclipse is the best Twilight movie. Even though all of them are not good, Eclipse is the best one, okay? If I had to really rank them, it would be Eclipse, New Moon, Breaking Dawn, Twilight, Breaking Dawn Part 2. I don't know. I don't really like the whole imprinting, Renesmee, reconnaissance BS. So that annoys me. So that's why I would put Breaking Dawn Part 2 in last place, because ew. I don't know. I like Twilight though. It's cute, but like it's very much Team Edward. I don't like Edward, so I'm really not a fan of Twilight that much anymore. So like Eclipse is my favorite. New Moon is of course second. And yeah. And if I really had to have it my way, those would be the only two. Those would be the only two, but yeah. I think Eclipse is my favorite Twilight movie. I don't like any of them anymore. I do like Eclipse for just the overall thing. Like, you don't really have to have watched the first two Twilight movies nor the last two Twilight movies to get something out of Eclipse. Like, if you were just watching this as a standalone movie, you'd actually get something out of it. Because I feel like they kind of were like, well, the first movie's about romance, and of course we had to add the whole James thing at the end, because without it, what do we have? Nothing. Then you had, New Moon, and we knew New Moon was going to be a cliffhanger to Eclipse, so like that's fine. But then you have Eclipse, which actually has everything that Twilight and New Moon tried to have in it. It has romance, the love triangle, and it actually has a fight scene. So 10 out of 10, right? So that's fine. That's good. We like that. Then you have Breaking Dawn Part 1, and there's no fight scene. There's no nothing. But because she turns into a vampire and has a little demon baby, then we're supposed to think that's cool. Then you have Part 2, where they have to add a whole fight scene in there because there is none in the end. Like, if you actually read the Twilight books, there's no fight scene at the end of Breaking Dawn. And so they had to create one just because they knew that people who had never read the books were going to want something. So, but yeah, it's crazy. But I'm going to continue my little watch, and we're going to get to Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Breaking Dawn Part 2. And if I had to really rank these would be my last two. I really don't like the Breaking Dawn movies nor books, because they're just not good. And I'm going to have a lot more critiques. Like, this is my third video talking about Eclipse because there's just so much to talk about. But if you thought that I was long-winded about Eclipse, get ready for me to be really, really, really long-winded about Breaking Dawn. Because there's so many flaws in Breaking Dawn. It's actually messed up. But yeah, justice for the Quileutes in real life, like the actual tribe. Justice for Jacob. I don't care what no one says. And screw the colonizer Cullens and their Confederate Army soldier, Jasper Whitlock. Okay, y'all. Sorry, I'm eating my candy corn. Okay, y'all. I got through Eclipse. That was a battlefield. But now we have gotten to Breaking Dawn Part 1. And I know I'm going to have thoughts. Like, a lot of thoughts. Like, it took me a while to get through Eclipse because I had to pause it every 5 minutes to just talk about my thoughts. Because I had a lot of them. And I know I'm going to have a lot for Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2. So get ready for that. And also, like I said, I am putting out a YouTube video about Twilight and the saga and how it relates to life in 2025 and about the story and everything. As a former Twihard who has not watched the Twilight series in over 10 years, I am rewatching them. So I'm making a YouTube video about it after I finish watching Breaking Dawn Part 2. But I'm also making a blog post about the Twilight Saga where it's going to go into a lot more detail about how I'm feeling and have a lot more like information in it. So if you're interested in either one, I'm your girl. And I'm coming from a very Black and Indigenous lens when I'm rewatching this. So just know that. Have that in mind. And yeah, we're going to go down this journey. We're on Breaking Dawn Part 1. I don't know if I'm ready for this, but here we go. Back to Bella's wedding. Yeah. As much as I am notorious for not liking the Breaking Dawn movies and the series, book series, story, whatever, story-wise, I have to say in the movie, Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2, I have to say I think that the Cullens look the best in these movies. And also Bella does too. They really up her wardrobe, okay? Yes. They upgrade her wardrobe because that first movie was not giving. And then in New Moon, it wasn't bad. Eclipse, it was better. Except for that wig. But she couldn't help it. It's okay. And then now it feels like if they had just had her look like this in the first movie, 10 out of 10. And I know the first movie is technically like an indie movie, so I get it. I know they didn't think it was going to actually move the needle or do anything. So by the time Breaking Dawn came around, they were like, we got to up the ante. We got to up the ante, okay? And I said, thank you, because Bella needed it. Hello. But I will say I liked Alice's little, like, bob that she had in Eclipse a lot better than her short hair in Breaking Dawn. Otherwise, everybody looked nice in Breaking Dawn, okay? I thought they looked great. So 10 out of 10 for the wardrobe, 10 out of 10 for the hair, except for Alice. Everybody else looked great. And for the wardrobe on Alice, I thought it looked great too. But I just wish she had kept her hair from Eclipse, and then it would have worked perfect. That's all. Also, I have to say that the acting in the Breaking Dawn movies, especially for Kristen Stewart, got better. And I think it's the director. I think we've been over this. But the director, I think, helped her out a lot. Because I don't know what it was, but she got better at her acting in Breaking Dawn. And it really does suck because Breaking Dawn is not one of my favorite stories. So it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. Like, she couldn't be good in the first 3 movies. Okay. I mean, I know it's supposed to be the charm of those movies. And, like, her not being that great of an actor in the first 3 movies. But, I mean, Eclipse, she's better. Better. But I feel like she gets it in Breaking Dawn. I don't know. I also don't fully get how come every other second Edward's like, you shouldn't be with me. Your soul. I want you to be human. But I'm in love with you. Like, make up your mind, sir. You either want to be with her or you don't. And I understand that you're okay with her being a human and you just being with her until she perishes. And then you're just going to die anyways. But, like, bruh. which one is it? You either want to be with her or you don't. You want to marry her or you don't. Because coming to her the night before you're supposed to get married talking about, I've killed people, Bella. You know Bella's delusional. You know you have some freaky spell over her. It's not like she's going to change your mind. So what was the point? And I know you don't want her to become a vampire like nobody does. But yeah. Okay. Make no sense. Make no sense. It's so funny to me because Renee is like not around ever, so she never really notices anything. So she's just like, oh, they're just a creative, fun family, right? She doesn't notice anything. But because Charlie has seen certain things, been around stuff, noticed things, he's like, graduation caps, all those graduation caps, that's a little sus. And I'm over here like, yeah, Charlie would have figured it out either way. Charlie would have figured it out either way. And Bella never had to even open her mouth and say it. He would figure it out. He would figure it out. He might not figure out what they are, but he would have figured out something was up. He would have. So it's like, but Renee not figuring it out is because she was never around. And so she just thinks this is cute and like artsy and fun, which is interesting. Interesting. Also, to all you Team Charlie fans, y'all got taste. Y'all got taste, okay? Team Charlie Swan. Team Chief Charlie Swan. Okay. Hello. That man is fine. I understand. I get it. Growing up is knowing that it was always Charlie anyways. It was always Charlie anyways. Okay. 10 out of 10. Stephenie Meyer's inserting herself into her own, like, movies is really smart, actually. I'm not even going to hold you, because if I made movies like this, or stories like this, or books like this, and they made a movie adaptation of my story, I will put myself in the movie too. 10 out of 10 decision. 10 out of 10 decision, okay? You're going to know I'm in my own movie, because I'm the author of this story, and I'm making all this money. Yep, it's me. 10 out of 10. I'm going to insert myself into my own world. 10 out of 10. Now, from Marina's point of view, I get it being mad at the wolves, okay? And I do think that Laurent wanted to be one of, like, them, because I feel like he didn't really want to be around Victoria or James in the first place. That's why he went to the Cullens in the first movie and told them about what was about to happen. So I do feel like Laurent really did want to be with, like, their kind. I don't know. But I do get her being mad. But that didn't mean she had to go all the way to the Volturi. What's wrong with her? Like, literally, what's wrong with her? Issues, bruh. And isn't she the one that was supposed to be with Edward, or is that one of the other ones? I'd have to look that up again. But I think that was the one that he was supposed to be with Edward back in the day. And it didn't work, and she's jealous, if I remember correctly. But yeah. First off, Seth is so cute for even going to Bella and Edward's wedding. That is so cute of Seth. But he came with Billy, so that's cute. And his mom, of course. Who is now almost with Charlie, and that's cute too, because I was like, okay, I see it. But I do see a little bit of jealousy Billy has. I don't know if it's jealousy or just, I don't know. But I see something there. Anyways, but no, freaking frack, okay? Because Bella really didn't need to tell Jacob that she was going to go on a honeymoon with Edward. Like, that was not necessary. And I feel like Bella and Edward have this weird obsession with just making Jacob feel like dirt. Because what was the point of you telling him that? There was no point. There was no point. You just wanted to say it because you knew that that was going to rile him up, fire him up, and he was going to get in trouble with the pack. And then Sam was going to have to bring him down a notch. And that's not fair. And you keep doing it. You keep doing it. And you don't even care. And then Edward will say, it's okay, Bella. Let's go back to the people. Let's go back to the wedding. Like, bro, like, I know you two are married, but you can at least be a little bit nice to Jacob, like, a little bit. But also, when Sam said, like, they're not his problem anymore, he was right. And that's where Stephenie Meyer should have left it. It should have been Bella and Edward go their separate little way, and Jacob goes and finds a nice res girl and lives his life so happy, right? And then maybe the Cullens will leave, and then Jacob doesn't have to be a wolf anymore, and he can marry a nice, very nice res girl and keep it pushing. But no, Stephanie Myers has to be the weirdest person on the planet and make him imprint on a freaking baby. I'm gonna fight her forever on that. I'm gonna fight her forever on that, but yeah. Sam is right, get over it, Jacob. And I'm gonna fight Stephanie Myers till the end of time for this imprinting thing. I'm gonna fight her. I truly am gonna fight her. That was the dumbest thing ever. I hate how Jacob and Edward are usually on the same team when it comes to certain things like Bella becoming a vampire or killing Reconnaissance. I think it's interesting. I really do. Okay, sorry. You know the scene in Breaking Dawn I'm about to bring up. The scene with the terrible CGI wolves and the terrible voiceover from Jacob. Oh my God. Like, it's the worst. And I can't stand it, bro. It is so freaking bad. 10 out of 10, one of the worst scenes. 10 out of 10. And there's a lot of not good scenes in Twilight, but like, they're campy, okay? They're cheesy, okay? They're cringy, and we laugh at them. But this scene specifically is not good. It's not good even in a cringy way. It's just, like, sad. And I'm just like, what? Stephanie Myers, you're going to pay for your crimes. You're going to pay for your crimes. You really are. Because that was terrible, and I never want to see it again. Oh, my gosh. Like, what even was that? Honestly, the wolves looked better in Eclipse. I do not understand why they look so bad. Like, there were certain things about Eclipse they should have brought into Breaking Dawn. Because literally, certain aspects of Eclipse I actually was down for. And then, you know, they ruin it in Breaking Dawn. Like the wolves, who actually look dumb. And the voiceover, terrible. Because why didn't you just have Taylor Lautner do the voiceover? I don't understand what was the point of that. What was the point of that? It was just wild. I don't like it. Seth is so cute. The way he follows Jacob around like a little lost puppy. It's so cute though. Because he's just like so cute. Ready to be there for Jacob at the drop of a hat. And I really think it's because he thinks of Jacob as an older brother figure. So he's just like there. And he's just like, yeah, I'm going to join your pack. Hello. I'm like, that's real sweet. That's really, really cute. I really like that. Like, that's so cute. Seth is so cute. Like, yeah, we love Seth. Team Seth, 10 out of 10. Leah definitely gets a bad rap in this story. And I hate the way that they portray Leah like this really horrible person. This, like, really mean person. Like, this just, like, annoying person. When, like, she's hurting, too. And nobody takes that into consideration. Even Jacob, who is literally going through the exact same thing. Why do you do that, Stephanie? Why? You need to be a lot nicer to Native women who go through so freaking much. Like, so freaking much. And the way you write Native women is trash. But, like, why do you have to make Leah supposed to be so insufferable when literally she's just has a broken heart. She just has a broken heart. And you can't blame her for hating the Cullens. No, you cannot. So I don't understand. I would be mad at the Cullens too. Because technically it's the Cullens' fault. Her daddy did. So, hello. Okay? Literally, what the heck? Also, I was watching this YouTube video yesterday about how Twilight is racist. And it's really racist. Like, it has to do a lot with Stephanie Myers being a Mormon and like a bunch of like Mormon, Christian, whatever. I'm not religious. I don't understand religion that well. But yeah, it has to do with like all of that type of stuff. And it's done by this black girl. And I thought her video was a 10 out of 10. It really went into detail about a lot of like the Mormon traditions and the Mormon like text and like how Mormons treated Native American people and like how they had this whole like program. It was very much giving boarding schools. It was very much giving residential schools, only not. But it was kind of in a similar vein with the religion type thing, trying to like assimilate Native people. And they kind of did the same thing with black people. And that's kind of what Stephanie Myers was basing a lot of Twilight on. It's a really good video. If I can find the link, I will link it or do something so you guys can, I'll put her name on the screen or something. But she made some really, really good points. There's also another video that I haven't watched yet, but I probably will watch it by the time this video comes out. I'll have watched it already, and I'll put the video name on screen. But it's of a Native woman who talks about the racism and how Stephanie writes Native women in these stories. And it's really interesting to me because, yes, I know that Stephanie Myers is Mormon. Like, I do know this. And I've always put that in there, but because I'm not religious like that, I don't really understand Christian texts, and I don't really understand Christianity at all, and I don't get all the different factions, and I don't understand any of it, right? I am confused a lot of the time. So when it comes to Stephanie Myers being Mormon, I always think it's like one of those weird little like subsections of Christianity. And I always, in my back of my head, knew that in some way Stephanie Myers was using her Mormon religion to write this story. And the way that YouTuber, the black woman YouTuber, breaks down the whole text and way of thinking of these Mormon people really put into perspective how I'm watching this. Because when I really think about it, it's so interesting that after everything the Cullens and vampires in general have done to the Quileutes, right? And as the colonizers that they are, they've done a lot of harm to them, okay? Not only making them turn into wolves, but also just a lot of things. The way they talk about them, the way that they interact with them, like, it's really bad. But yet, Jacob and, I guess, in return, Leah and Seth, and then, of course, the wolf pack eventually, are supposed to, like, become cool with the Cullens and vampires in general because, I don't know, they're supposed to be cool with the colonizers? I don't get it. And I've never understood it, and it always confused me. And yeah, like, I don't like it at all. And I think Stephanie Myers is weird for writing it that way. So, yeah. Renesmee has to be in the dictionary under worst name ever. And when I make this YouTube video, like, a large portion is probably going to be about the imprinting of Jacob Black. Because it's one of the most ridiculous things that this story ever did. I literally hate it. Yes, I just got to that point in the movie. And I hate it, everybody. But what's really surprising and really terrible, shame on me, shame on my 20-year-old self, shame. I absolutely was a fan of Jacob imprinting. I know. Bad. Okay? Like, what was I thinking? And what's so funny is I used to have arguments with my cousin who also was into Twilight. So we would have arguments sometimes about it, and she would try to convince me that this was horrible, bad, not good. This was like giving PDF. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I was so Team Jacob. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no. And it's because I wanted Jacob to be happy so bad. I was okay with this. That's how much Stephanie Meyer tried to convince us that this was okay. I absolutely hate her for this. And I'm absolutely so pissed off that she let this be the cop-out that it was. Because just because you weren't going to put Jacob with Bella doesn't mean that you had to tie Jacob so heavily into the Cullens after the Cullens basically ruined Jacob's life and ruined the Quileute's life. It's disgusting, and it's absolutely very demoralizing. Okay? Absolutely so demoralizing. It's absolutely sick. And I have a lot to talk about it, so check out my YouTube video. And now you have poor Jacob fighting his own brothers against the Cullens because he's now imprinted on Rapscallion. What? Your own people against these colonizers. Boy, when I see Stephanie Meyer one day, ooh, girl. 4 down, 1 more to go. And then, yeah. This has been an interesting journey going through watching the Twilight series again after like over 10 years of not watching them. After being like a huge fan who would go to like midnight screenings of the movies. It's really interesting to see it again, but yeah. I decided to order myself a little bit of a Freddy's milkshake. And we're on to the last movie, Breaking Dawn Part 2. Okay, this has been an interesting journey for me, like a really interesting journey. Because as somebody who used to go see Twilight midnight releases with my mom and my older sister, and some of my mom's friends, and my mom is, well, she's in her 70s now. At the time, she was like in her 60s, but yeah. And watching these movies now and like recounting this story in my head, like, it's just interesting. Like, the way I've grown so much when it comes to this story is so interesting to me because I just was so in love with this story. I wouldn't tell my friends about it that I was in love with this story because it was lame to be like liking Twilight, but I was in love with this story and I was in love with these characters and I was like obsessed. And I have pulled back tremendously. And I think it's because maybe my frontal lobe, my frontal cortex has fully developed. And I'm 34 now. But yeah, these are not good. And there's so many racist tropes and just things that bother me about these stories. And it's sad. And watching Jacob have to imprint on Reconnaissance is just sad to me. Because it ties Jacob to this family indefinitely in a horrible way that I don't like. Because he has to like sit there and watch Reconnaissance until she's like fully an adult. And that means that he has to continue to phase into a wolf like his whole life because she's half immortal. It's wild to me, bro. And she's a child. She's a whole baby. She's a whole baby, Stephanie Meyer. Really? So the native character has to imprint on a baby? Like, please make it make sense, bro. Please make it make sense. I don't like it. I don't like it. It really makes my skin crawl in the worst way. But I also came to another conclusion about these stories. And specifically, when I was watching the first Breaking Dawn, Part 1. Twilight, in a lot of ways, is a land backstory. And it's really interesting when you look at it through that lens. Because if you're native at all, if you're indigenous at all, land back is a really big issue in native indigenous communities around the world. And so to watch Twilight through that lens, it's really interesting because the Cullens come on to native land, Quileute land, and they're the ones out here acting a fool. And then they create this treaty with the Quileutes that they won't come on their land and the Quileutes won't have to phase and become werewolves. And then they leave. The Cullens actually leave. But then the Cullens come back. Why they come back, I will never understand, because they're immortal. So it was clearly them, way back when, that came over here and messed up stuff with the Quileutes. So for them to come back in the 2000s like that was really stupid and dumb, and I don't think it was okay. And they knew what they were doing, right? They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing by coming to Forks, because technically Forks is still Quileute territory. So, in all reality, them coming back to Forks like that, they knew it was going to disrupt the wolves. They knew it was going to disrupt the Quileutes, and that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair. Making poor little Seth, I love Seth so much, but making poor little Seth have to phase at 15, That's not cool. That's not cool. And it's all the Cullens' fault. But then you have to make it so that because Jacob can't be with Bella, he imprints on ribonucleosis, Bella and Edward's demon child, and then has him tied to the Cullens for the rest of eternity. It's actually sick because you're taking Jacob's life away from him. Like, you're taking Jacob's entire life away from him. Like, he has no jurisdiction over his own life ever again. Ever again. It's like Jacob's now the Cullens' like pet. He's ribonucleosis' pet. It's so weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. But I will be going more in depth about the land back of it all when I make my YouTube video. I'm making a YouTube video based off of this. This is my first time watching the Twilight series in over 10 years. I used to be a really big fan. I used to be a twihard. Yeah, we were lame. And I'm going to be making a YouTube video after I finish watching Break It Dawn Part 2. I'm going to be making a YouTube video based on just watching this for the first time in forever. It's going to be a very basic YouTube video. I probably won't go too deep into a lot of things, but I'm also going to be making a blog post on my blog, iceturtlegirl.blog, and my YouTube channel. I'll be making the video on there, Ice Turtle Girl, and you can look up both. And I will be making a video and a blog post on the Twilight series and how it's trash and how it relates to a lot of things going on in 2025. And my blog post will probably be more in depth about a lot of things and have more information in it. So if you want to really dive into my feelings, check out my blog. But also check out my YouTube video. But yeah, Twilight is really taking me for a ride in the worst way. And I remember why I don't watch these films or read this material anymore. And yeah, there's just a lot. There's just a lot. But come on my journey with me as I dive deep into the magical world of Breaking Dawn Part 2. And I never brought this up on purpose, because if I brought it up, it would just be stupid, because it's like one of the biggest tropes of people hating on Twilight, the sparkling vampire thing. I just didn't bring it up because it feels like it's a low blow. Like, at this point, people have talked about it ad nauseum about the lame, sparkly vampire thing. Like, I get it. It's lame. It's stupid. I understand it. But there are way bigger problems with Twilight, so I never wanted to bring that up because it just feels like overplayed, overdone. One of the reasons people make fun of Twilight, like, I get it. The lame, sparkly vampires, I understand. But there are so many other things that are really, really problematic with this story that aren't that, even though that's lame. It's not that. She's only been a vampire for 5 minutes and she's already falling into the trope. Not that she already wasn't, but now she's doing it, like, worse. Also, I know back then we didn't really have the vocabulary, or maybe we did and I just didn't know it because we were young and we were, like, teenagers. But, like, is Bella and Edward giving, vampire trad wife? Anybody? Just me? Okay. Okay, because Renesmee is bad enough, but Nessie was a choice. Just like Renesmee was a choice, Nessie was very much a choice. Stephanie was. Also, like, what even is life? Oh my god, what even is life? But also, Edward, you suck so much, because how are you just going to let Bella beat up Jacob for freaking imprinting on your daughter against his own freaking will, because y'all colonizers are here making him be a wolf in the first place, and now he has imprinted on your daughter against his will, and now he's stuck with you for the rest of eternity. Y'all suck so hard. Nope, because Bella, with her vampire strength, she pushes Seth. He hits a tree. They're in wolf form. He hits a tree. Bella's like, I'm sorry, Seth. And Jacob goes over to check on him. And then Jacob's like, oh, he'll be okay. Jacob changed after he imprinted. I don't like it. Now he's defending the Cullens and Bella. Bella, I get, because he always was. But be so serious right now. Now, I'm not mad at Rosalie because I know Rosalie wants a baby, so I understand. But Bella, you can't be mad at Jacob and then not be mad at Rosalie for hogging reconnaissance. You just can't do it, girl. Get it together. Bella strings Jacob along. Jacob thinks he's in love with Bella. Jacob ends up imprinting on Bella and Edward's demon baby. Okay. The Cullens think that it's okay to just pack up and leave Jacob behind. Jacob is a part of a wolf pack. Jacob can't just pick up and leave because he's the alpha. He can't just pick up and leave. But you tearing him away from Renesmee is wrong. Now, to clarify, I am not a person who actually thinks that imprinting is a good thing. And I actually hate imprinting and find it dehumanizing and demoralizing. Whatever. But for the sake of this story, to rip Jacob away from Renesmee, that's cruel. That's cruel. After everything, literally everything that Bella and the Cullens have put him through. And now they're going to rip him away from the one thing that matters to him. And this is why Bella and the Cullens are evil. You get to have your happy ending, Bella, but you never, ever think of how Jacob feels. Some friend you are. Some freaking friend that you are. You're no friend of Jacob's. You're not a good person, and neither is your colonizer family. You suck so hard, Bella. So hard. And what sucks worse is that even though Jacob does expose himself as a wolf to Charlie to let him in on a little bit of the craziness, the magicalness of everything, right? Doesn't mean that in the future the Cullens wouldn't leave eventually, right? And when Jacob and Recycling Ben freaking get together in 18 years or whatever, they're gonna have to leave eventually, which also means that Jacob would have to follow them, which also means that Jacob would still be ripped away from his culture, his family, his people, his wolf pack, whatever, just to follow you and your colonizer family around. It is sick and it's twisted, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Being mad at Jacob for solving a problem is really rude. It's really rude. Like, it's absolutely really rude. And then the Cullens just being okay with it. Like, them just going along with everything and, like, just being okay with everything, going along with everything and acting like everything is sunshine and rainbows. Like, bruh, the issues that this freaking family has, I can't. I literally can't. The fact that Bella was just willing to break Charlie's heart was just, oh, it's fine. I can break Charlie's heart. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Like, who cares? I'm going to turn into a vampire. And it doesn't matter because I don't care if I have to break Charlie's heart. And I don't care if I never get to see my mom again because I'm going to be around these colonizer Cullens for the rest of my life. I just don't get it. And again, I think that there is some kind of spell that the Cullens have over Bella to the point where they have a spell on her and she doesn't even notice it. And now it's too late kind of situation. But that's just me. But yeah, it's weird. I will say the story of the Volturi just going around killing immortal children would have been A1. That would have been a really good story. Also, what would have been a really good story would have been just going and like visiting other vampires from like other places around the world and seeing what they're up to and like what they do and like their culture and customs and like that whole thing. I think that would have been cool because you know how in Breaking Dawn Part 2 they bring all the different vampires from different places around the world, right? And I think that's cool. I think that would have been a cool little part of the story that she could have expanded on and like done a whole like book on it or like a movie on it or whatever, or like if she ever decides to do another like any like movie or if she decides to do like a series, instead of doing Jacob and Renesmee's story, because nobody wants to see that, they could do the vampires from like the different places around the world and actually have that be like the focal point of like a series or another movie. I might actually watch that because that would be actually kind of interesting. But that, or the Volturi doing Volturi things, and or the Volturi going around killing immortal children, like that would have been much better, and I could see it being something actually cool. So if you really want to get back into the game, Stephenie Meyers, that is where to start. Okay. So upon doing research on Twilight, like for the last like over 10 years, because I was a fan of the movies back in the day and the series and the books and whatever. So doing research and whatever, I noticed that, and just through research, that Stephenie Meyers was not allowing people of color, and specifically Black people, obviously, to be a part of the story, right? Because she has this thing about pale skin. She has this thing about, you know, the cold ones, the pale skin, the whatever, right? And that all vampires were going to be pale skinned once you became a vampire. Like, you were, even if you had melanin, you were going to be pale. Like, your melanin was not going to be there no more. You were going to be pale, right? So it's just interesting to me that in Breaking Dawn Part 2, and even Laurent, like Laurent being Laurent, 10 out of 10, okay? I absolutely love seeing Laurent as a Black Indigenous person. I love seeing Laurent because he was one of the only Black vampires that we ever get to see. And then you have the Egyptian coven that ends up coming in Breaking Dawn Part 2, and you have the 2 Amazon women vampires that come from the Amazon that come to help as well. And I really like them, okay? First of all, because they're from the Amazon. But I'm just surprised that they even got to be a part of this, because you know Stephenie Meyers was not trying to have no people of color up in here. Especially no vampires that were people of color and Black. So it's like really, really interesting. Like really interesting. And I think that this was more of a director or whatever's choice than it was Stephenie Meyers. Because I feel like if Stephenie Meyers had directed this and like wrote the screenplay and everything, nah, we would not have no vampires of color in this story at all. Like, all we would have was the Quileutes, and that's it. Okay. Like, we get really lucky that we even get to have Tyler in Twilight, in the first movie, as one of Bella's friends, who's Black. Like, we are like so lucky in that regard, because like people of color, Black people specifically, in this story are 0 to none. So it's just interesting when they show up. It's really interesting when they show up. And here we go again. There's a bunch of vampires at the Cullen compound, and yet so many more Quileutes are turning into werewolves because they're all there. And now, because Jacob has changed his personality because of reconnaissance, then it's okay. It's okay. Like, it's fine that all of these poor young kids are having to turn into werewolves because the Cullens want to bring a bunch of vampires over because reconnaissance is so important. And Jacob goes along with it because he unfortunately had to imprint on her. Again, Stephenie Meyers, you're going to pay for your crimes, ma'am. Pay for your freaking crimes. As somebody who used to read Twilight fanfiction, yes, I know. I told you I was really into this. Really into this. They had to make up the Jacob and Renesmee story as they went along because there's no like story with that yet. So in the movies and in the book, there's like very, very, very little parts where Jacob and Renesmee like interact together. And I'm watching Breaking Dawn Part 2, and we got to the part where it's like Christmas, and Jacob gives her that bracelet, and it's really cute. And I hate it because that's one of the reasons why when I was like 20 years old, 21 years old, 20 years old, whatever, I thought this was cute. I thought that Jacob imprinting on Renesmee was cute. And it's that reason right there. And I absolutely hate it. You're not going to get it out of me, Stephenie Meyers. You won't. Why does Edward Once a Movie complain so hard about Bella and how he fell in love with a human and how it just ruins his life. But he like can't be away from her, and he like is in love with her, but like he fell in love with a human and it's ruining his life and it's ruining his family's life and it's ruining vampires' lives because he fell in love with a human. Like every other movie, he just talks about it like it's a bad thing that he fell in love with Bella. It's a bad thing that he's in love with Bella. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. But I can't be away from her. We tried that and it nearly killed me. So now I can't be away from her. And it's like, okay, 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 okay. Like, I don't get it. Like, I also think it was a bad idea for you to fall in love with a human. And I also think that you should have went away. And I also think that you're terrible. But I don't get why every other movie you're just like, yeah, I fell in love with a human. I know. Horrible decision. Terrible idea. The worst. Now I got a child with her. And I'm basically risking like 17 vampires' existence and lives just because I fell in love with a human. And not to be that person, but like a mediocre human at that. But I'm just saying, like, it's so interesting to me. Because he complains about Bella so much. But then on the other hand, he's like, no, but I'm in love with her. Like, I am in love with her. Like, I can't be away from her. Like, oh my gosh, if I'm away from her for 5 minutes, my soul will die. And it's like, you don't have a soul because you're you don't have a soul because you're a vampire, sir. I don't understand. But also, get it together, my guy. Like, get it together, seriously, because what are you doing? Either you're really, really, really in love with Bella, or Bella's a problem. But I don't know. It's weird. I will admit, though, that even though the ending of Twilight is interesting, because of the movie version, when they actually have the Volturi fight the Cullens and the other vampires, it is better than the book. And as somebody who is actually a fan of the Volturi and actually thinks they're pretty interesting and actually would love to see a series based on the Volturi, because I think they're actually more interesting than the Cullens. And yeah, I actually appreciate the ending of Breaking Dawn up until the ending of the fight. Then it becomes lame again. But when they're fighting, even though it's not real, I like it a lot because it could have really been that way, except for Stephanie Myers is lame. And for some reason, she decided to not have them fight and to just talk it out. What? That's lame. Nah, because when Alice has her little vision and she sees Jacob and Wrinklestein and Bella and Edward like by the beach or whatever, like hanging out or whatever, and ribonucleosis is older, and like Jacob and her are happy together. No, because you know what? Y'all did make me think that was gonna be cute. And I fell for it when I was like 21, however old I was when this movie came out. And when I read it in the story, I was so mad because I felt that was a good thing. I felt like it was a good thing. But growing up is knowing that imprinting is a bunch of crock, and that was a bunch of crock, and y'all freaking gaslit me. And I was young and stupid, and my frontal lobe had not developed yet, and I was young and dumb because I thought that was cute. I thought that BS was cute. Wow. Just wow. Just wow. And there you have it, folks. I just finished Breaking Dawn Part 2. Now, if you really want to hear my real thoughts about Twilight in general, whether it's the movies or the books or whatever, you need to go to my YouTube channel, Ice Turtle Girl, or to my blog, iceturtlegirl.blog, where I'm going to be publishing a video or possibly a series of videos about the Twilight Saga. I also will be writing a blog about the Twilight Saga. My blog is probably going to have more information about how I'm feeling, but also more information as in like more things about the story and just more information about it, the videos are probably going to be more stream of consciousness about how I feel about the story and about Stephenie Meyer and about the whole entire ordeal. But after watching the Twilight Saga the last 2 nights for the very first time in over 10 years, like I've already said, it was a lot, bro. It was a lot. Like, I thought that I was going to watch these films, and even though I have issues with the tropes in these films and books and story, and just overall think Bella and Edward are scum, and that the Cullens are colonizers and horrible people who get too many chances, I thought I was going to have some kind of like flashback to being like 17 and fall back into, oh, this were good stories. Oh, these were great characters. Oh, this is great films. Oh, all of these things, and have a little nostalgic moment. And I just couldn't. I just couldn't. And I think it's because I grew up. I truly think it's because I'm 34 years old. I grew up and I'm not a teenager anymore. I can't look at these stories and these films the same way I would have at 17. I just can't. And in a lot of ways, I'm surprised that I even looked at these stories and the films in that way at 17. I blame my mom and my sister for even getting me into this series. But honestly, like, I was young. I was naive. I was a teenager. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I should have picked up on the tropes. I should have picked up on the blatant racism. I should have picked up on the narcissism. I should have picked up on how terrible of a person Edward was. And I did. Once I listened to the Twilight Saga's books, I definitely did start to see Edward as a horrible person. And that's why after Twilight, I was no longer a Team Edward fan. I was a Team Jacob fan. And then for a while, I'll be so freaking honest, for a while, I couldn't even be Team Jacob anymore. Then I was Team Alice, and then I realized that I can't be Team Alice either because she is partnered with a Confederate soldier. So I was like, no, I can't be liking the Confederate wife. That just doesn't make sense. So then I was like, not. And then I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I just am going to be a Team Jacob. It is what it is. Like, Jacob can have his flaws all he wants. But at the end of the day, I'm Team Jacob. It is what it is. I can't help it. Like, I'm black and I'm Indigenous, and it just is what it is. I'm gonna be Team Jacob because that's all there is to be, right? But anyways, like, it was just really, really interesting to rewatch these. And I am eventually going to be listening to the books again. And that'll probably be more of what I put into my blog post than my videos. Like I said, my videos are probably going to be very surface level and stream of consciousness about how I feel about the stories now. But my blog post will go a lot more in depth. But yeah, this was a really interesting experience, and I'm glad I did it, because for a really long time I was like, I just need to revisit this stuff and see how I really feel about it. Because for a long time I was like really either in between, where I was like in it but not in it. And then I was also, like, feeling really weird about it. And then I started to absolutely hate it. And I was like, I think I just need to rewatch the films and listen to the books again to really understand why I hate it so much. And I just watched the films. And even just watching the films, and there's some missing pieces from the books that are not in the films. But even just watching the films, I understand now why I cannot watch these anymore. And why I will never have that warm, fuzzy feeling that I had when I was a teenager, when I would watch these or interact with this world. I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it anymore. And it's just, it really, it's an interesting feeling, you know? It's an interesting feeling, but I'm glad I did it. And I hope you guys enjoyed these. And check out my blog and my YouTube channel, both Ice Turtle Girl. And yeah, happy Hoa 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 season, everybody. Yeah, since we're talking about Twilight and going down this memory lane type thing, let's talk about the Twilight soundtrack. So, The first time I ever heard the Twilight soundtrack was my older sister and my mom, who are both the reason I actually got into the Twilight Saga in the first place, because they had read the books. Then they were like, the movies are coming out, and Twilight was coming out at the time. And so they were like, let's go see the movie. And I was like, okay, because I remember it was like random, but like we were getting ready to watch a movie in my English class. And I remember we had like wheeled the TV in, and we had it on one of the channels where we were getting ready to like watch a DVD or something. And a commercial came on, because I think it was on like a public access channel or something. And the commercial came on, and it was for Twilight, and then everybody in my class got excited about it, and they were like, yeah, we're going to go see it. And then my mom and my sister were like, you want to go see it? And I was like, okay, sure. So then we went to see it like 3 times. But I remember one of the times, it was because my sister was like depressed, and my mom was like, let's go see Twilight again. And she was like, okay. And so then we went to my local like college theater, which is like the cheap theater, and we went to see it for like a 3rd time. Yeah. And so then my sister had burned or like downloaded the Twilight soundtrack and burned a CD of it for me. 10 out of 10 for her. And then she also had, because it was like in 2008, so she also had early Adele on the burned CD. Not a part of the soundtrack, but she just had it on there. I didn't know who Adele was at the time, but she had Chasing Pavements on there, and that was really good. That was really, really good. So yeah, that's kind of how I got the Twilight soundtrack in the first place, because of my older sister. I remember it was like a big deal every single time that the Twilight soundtracks would come out. So the first soundtrack came out, I got the mix CD from my older sister, the burned CD, and it was 10 out of 10, and we listened to it in the car together, and it was vibes, okay? And then the New Moon soundtrack came out, so good. Like, listen, the New Moon soundtrack, okay, we talk about the Twilight soundtrack a lot, okay? Obviously, Supermassive Black Hole, okay? Clair de Lune, okay? You have, you know, Flightless Bird, you know, you have, you know, Decode, obviously, I Caught Myself by Paramore. You have Leave Out All the Rest by, of course, Linkin Park. So many good songs. So many good songs, okay? And then you have New Moon, which has so many good songs on it, but it's like a little random, but it's like really, really good. I remember, and I can't remember if it's on the New Moon or the Eclipse soundtrack, but I remember, and I'm pretty sure this was on the New Moon soundtrack, but I remember Lupe Fiasco. Shout out to Lupe Fiasco, by the way. He has, or had, a rock band that he actually was a part of, okay? And the rock band actually got to have a song on the New Moon soundtrack. 10 out of 10 for Lupe Fiasco, honestly. And so shout out to him. I remember, I think this one was actually on the Eclipse soundtrack. I don't remember. But there's like a CeeLo Green song that was on one of the soundtracks. I remember that. Yeah, just really, really good soundtracks, okay? Eclipse and Twilight are probably my favorites. Obviously, New Moon has like a lot of really great songs on it, including Rosalind. So good. I listen to that song all of the time. So freaking good. So fall, like so good. Okay. Possibility. Love that song. Love that song. But Eclipse has a lot of really good songs on it too. Like, it has, of course, Heavy in Your Arms by Florence and the Machine. And it has My Love, I think is the song, by Sia. And this is like Sia before she became a pop star Sia. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Okay. It has a Black Keys song that I'm really into, Chop and Change. And just a lot of really, really good songs. And then, of course, the Breaking Dawn soundtracks are really good too. For some reason, I don't know why this is, but I can't find any of the Twilight, New Moon, or Eclipse songs on my iTunes, which I've had the same iTunes since I was like 15. So, but I can't find any of the Twilight, New Moon, or Eclipse songs on there, but I can find all of the Breaking Dawn, both parts, soundtrack because I think I bought the soundtrack for those two. It's random. But those have a lot of good songs on there too. Shout out to Bruno Mars. Okay. Shout out to Bruno Mars. He has a great song on the first Breaking Dawn soundtrack. And just a lot of incredible music on that soundtrack as well. But yeah, the Twilight soundtracks are 10 out of 10. No notes. No notes. And they really, really, like, that's the bar for, like, YA, like, adventure, like, not fantasy, but, like, you know what I mean, kind of movies, right? Like, we didn't really get that with Harry Potter that much, but, I mean, there was, like, the score and stuff, but Twilight really, it was the bar, okay, because we saw that the Hunger Games tried to do that too, and so, yeah, Twilight really, it's at the bar. It's at the bar when it comes to good soundtracks. Sing for the lion and lamb. Did I say I will wrap you in my arms? With your turret, on which you stare at that. From now on, will be. I found you, fly. I surrender who I've been for who you are. I come from, you say things will be well and fine. Home with your turret, on which you stare at night. Okay, so I'm doing this whole rewatch of the Twilight Saga where I am rewatching the Twilight Saga for the first time in over 10 years. And this is coming from somebody who used to be a Twihard. And if you don't know what I mean, like, we used to call ourselves that, which is really random, I know, and stupid and lame and dumb. And it sounds really stupid now, like, hello. But I was such a fan that I used to listen to bands that were literally, I'm talking literally, bands that were the music of Twilight. Like, they were telling the story of Twilight through their music. I was so into this story back in the day. It's actually pretty funny. Like, if I really found all my stuff that, like, yeah, you would understand how into this I really was. Like, if I find some of my, like, Facebook posts, I'll post them and stuff like that. Because I was into this story. I was into these movies. I was into this book series. Like, it was, yeah, I was obsessed. I was obsessed, okay? There was a point in my life where I was obsessed. Yeah. But to the point where I was listening to this. And it was called the Bella Cullen Project. And actually, they weren't terrible. I'm not going to hold you. Like, if you like cute little, like, I'm going to call it folk music, like acoustic-y, but, like, I'm going to call it folk music, but, like, sort of. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. Just look them up. But they were, like, these 3 women or girls or teenagers, whatever, who were really into Twilight. And so they created a whole band called the Bella Cullen Project. And then they made music all about the story of Twilight. Each little iteration of the story, they would have a song about it. Literally, they would have a song about it all the time. My favorite song was Bella's Answering Machine. I listened to it recently and I was like, wow, I was really into this. I was really, really into this. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, I look back at myself during those times when I was 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It was random. It was wild. And I was obsessed. I was obsessed.
best.